As a group, nonverbal cues were a huge part of our communication. We all had to come together and meet virtually, so it's super beneficial to know how these nonverbal cues are important and why we need to use them. For example, we all made sure to have our cameras on and to not have our voices muted. In doing so, it really helped us to become more productive during our group meetings.
Since we had our videos on it, it was easy to see facial expressions. With that, it was apparent when people didn't agree with what was being said, so it could be brought up and talked about. This helped with recognizing what nonverbal cues were positive or negative.
Decision making within this project was also a very important part. And in order to make decisions, you first have to understand the problem and define a goal. So we saw that there's a problem with incoming freshmen not really getting all the information needed, whether that's from the school or even from a personal perspective. So this is where we defined a goal of making an Instagram and also making that goal, like we state later on, of having a certain amount of profile visits, who we want to reach, number of people we want to reach. And because we showed gratitude to others for making ideas and also contributing to the conversation, it made everyone feel free to share and made decision making easier. A lot of the decision making, when we reflect back on it, was based on consensus. Although this decision-making technique takes a lot of time, it really pushed our group to think creatively. If there was one member who did not agree with the proposed decision, we would as a team rework that decision and come up with new ideas to accommodate to each member's concerns. So you could even say accommodation was one of the biggest factors we used to make decisions, because not in a group with a couple people, it's not always going to be, or it shouldn't be, the driving factor what one person says, but should be a consensus of what everybody else feels about it, and if it's the right decision, and also accommodates everybody's beliefs or feelings toward that certain topic as well.
Our group experienced diversity, first of all, because we had 2 women and 3 men in our group. Another thing was that each person was from a different city, and we valued these diverse perspectives because our project was to give advice to students who are coming to Boise State or maybe at Boise State already, and we have 2 people from Washington, 2 from Idaho, and then I am from California, and these places are where a lot of students are from who come to Boise State, and this helps a lot when we talked about the advice. Addison talked about homesickness, and he was able to put his personal experience. Shelby knew exactly everything that she wanted to say about Greek life, and her being a part of that played a huge part because I spoke about how we can make friends not in Greek life because I never was in Greek life, but she used all of her knowledge of her experience along with knowledge that she collected based on people who could help her because she was in Greek life. Sarah used her personal experience with conflict with a roommate, and she explained about how it helped her so much. And I never had that. My roommate was awesome my freshman year, and so I couldn't give that same perspective. And then Devin, being a transfer student, he's had to deal with advisors and different types of like not knowingness of which classes to take, and him having this experience, because I don't have this either and the other people in our group didn't have this, he used his own perspective to help our groups overall need.
Hey Addison, what do you think the strengths were for working in our group?
So in our group, we were all able to communicate fully. We would always message each other. We were able to form a group chat, which we were all able to communicate through. And that helped us to strengthen our understanding of all the work that we had to do. It helped build a sort of framework for when we needed to log on and actually participate as group members. And then another strength is we're all from different parts of the U.S., and that really helped to bring different views into our group. because we all don't have the same.
Our group's verbal communication was some of the best verbal communication or communication in general that I have had experience with in these small groups that we've worked with. We were able to use Zoom and FaceTime for our verbal communication. Along with our service project, we used verbal communication through videos that we posted online to Instagram for our service project. Our group was very friendly with each other. We got along super well right from the start, and this made it really easy to have conversations and give each other different ideas and not be scared to share what we wanted to. Each group member was a great listener, and you could see that from the way that they replied to what you said. Another thing was that not one person dominated the group. We all shared evenly. Even though Sarah and Shelby were probably our two strongest leaders, we all shared and gave our thoughts, and it didn't feel like it was forced at all. Another thing that is usually hurtful in groups is interruptions, but we would interrupt each other in a way that it was like when you have a conversation with your friends, and it wasn't a harmful interruption, it was actually helpful interruptions. And all these different principles of verbal communication were seen throughout our